I think we all know the difference when we see it between nostalgia done right
Here we go.
and a cash grab.
I could use your expertise.
Whenever a vintage themed game is announced, especially a sequel to a series we haven't heard from in a really long time, I'm a little skeptical, but I guess I need to stop being skeptical because companies like WayForward and Dotemu being the team behind Shredder's Revenge, they nail this stuff just pretty consistently. It feels like they get better every time. These were the same guys that brought us Streets of Rage 4, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later in comparison to Shredder's Revenge. This game is awesome. It takes an original formula that got by basically on the strength of its IP. You know, the cartoon was red hot at the time, the characters, Ninja Turtles were red hot, and a really cool look and feel to a title with awesome just colors and sprite models, but a really thin gameplay. And I'm talking about the original TMNT arcade game. They take that and they add a depth of gameplay, which I think in this case is absolutely perfect. We're not talking a super convoluted, really long moves list, but we are talking about enough different moves and mobility options to get through a screen that make it really fun to play. It makes you want to come back and play and just keep exploring those levels in a way the original arcade games, I think, missed the mark on. Dotemu also added a progression system here. It's tailor-made to replayability. Each character you pick, and they do each of course play a little differently from one another, and you can see their stats on the screen where you select the characters. Each time you play them, you're leveling them up, but each character has to be leveled up independently. So it gives you a reason to come back and try other characters out. But the two things they did that make this perfect: leveling is fast, so I never felt punished for playing a new character because I knew I could level them up quickly. And also, the character's baseline is fine. It's not like you can only really play the later levels with characters that have been leveled. You could play with an unleveled character without any kind of problem. The leveling additions are simple, like one little extra mark of health, stuff like that. Not complete game-breaking leveling, or at least not as much as I've played it so far. My highest level character is 5, and I played that character for about half of the later levels. I played other characters for the other levels. So you can see you can progress through pretty quickly, and it never feels like a punishment playing a character that has not yet been leveled. Back to the look and feel of the game though, the opening scene looks like a hand-drawn cartoon. I don't know if it actually is, but if it's not, it fooled me, and that's pretty cool. In fact, the entire game plays like an episode of the TMNT cartoon. When I beat the game and I saw the ending, I really hoped and kind of expected DLC, which would set this up for other episodes that you could play, but it's clear Dotemu have not yet planned DLC and that they're waiting to see how this game performs to determine if they should make DLC, but I hope that they do. Alright, now let's talk about Streets of Rage 4, because this is different than Streets of Rage in one really important way. My only nitpick with Streets of Rage 4 was what I felt like was a lack of mobility across the screen. It seems like it took a long time for me to move around in the game, and you didn't have a lot of options for moving quickly. Now, I don't know if the base walk speed in Shredder's Revenge is any faster than Streets of Rage 4, but it feels a little bit faster. I didn't get this sense I was just stuck in quicksand all the time. But here's what really made Shredder's Revenge mobility awesome: the escape roll. This is a move that's very fast, dodges most attacks, and it lets you traverse an entire screen quite easily and efficiently. And it could be combined with a kick move, so you get mobility plus a little bit of offense. Makes it a lot of fun. Now, jumping is fun too, and that was how I got around a lot in Streets of Rage 4. But once I got the feel of the escape roll, I kind of gave up on jumping, or jump a lot less. There is a 2-stage super jump here, which is nice and combines for some extra moves, including some power moves. But man, that escape roll is sweet, and it just makes getting through this game's levels feel like a joy. Playing with friends is as fun as you'd expect here, but with all the on-screen action and with some of the character sprites looking fairly similar given the art style, I kept losing my place on screen with the action with 3 or more players at once. Not a big deal, again, not really punishing, because you have a co-op revival action, which I found hard to execute with 2 players, but with 3 or more players, it's pretty easy to bring your guy back to life. So even if you lose your place, make a goofy move, and die, just again, not a big deal. The stakes aren't as high, of course, with co-op because of that. but it would have been nice if they came up with some way to better highlight your character as a unique character. But by the end of the game, I just wanted more of it. So I really hope we get DLC on this, but again, the game itself is as awesome as you've heard. It looks great, it plays even better. If I had to give this a score, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. My only real complaint is that the story mode came and went, and the levels didn't feel as long as I would have liked to have seen. And maybe because the difficulty isn't as challenging, it felt a lot quicker for me to beat this than Streets of Rage 4 on my first playthrough. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have not yet played Shredder's Revenge, you're on the fence, do check it out. If you have Game Pass, either on PC or Xbox, it's free to play there. And my last point on this is I'm hoping to see this game in an arcade format for the home at some point. Arcade went up, put a feeler out several months ago asking if people would be interested in a Shredder's Revenge cabinet. They've done the TMNT cabinet before with the original arcade game and Turtles in Time, so presumably they could get the license, but can they make a chipset that isn't too expensive? I'm skeptical about that, but on the other hand, there's a company called iiRcade which has a multicade they sell, and it has a much more powerful chipset than what you find in an arcade one up. And I do know that they're hoping to, and at least having talks or hoping to have talks with Nickelodeon, whoever the rights holder is here, to get this game on iiRcade. I hope that comes to fruition one way or the other, because this game deserves an arcade cabinet. It's got that arcade DNA, and this would be a lot of fun standing up playing with a friend. So that's what I hope to see out of this title in the future. But for what it's worth, I think Dotemu has absolutely perfected the beat 'em up revival formula. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and let me know what you think about Shredder's Revenge if you've played it, and where do we go next from here with beat 'em ups? Is this kind of the pinnacle? Is this the top? It's been perfected, or is there something else that can be done with this formula? Thanks guys, and I'll talk to you later.